Online shopping has officially grown up. That wild, unpredictable gold rush phase is pretty much over, and we're now in a totally new, more stable era of e-commerce. So, what does this massive global shift actually look like? Let's dive in and break it down.
Okay, let's start with just one number to really set the stage. $5.36 trillion. That's the projected size of the global e-commerce market by 2026. And look, that's not just some big, flashy number. It's a historic milestone. It's telling us that the way the world does business has fundamentally, irreversibly changed. But the real story here isn't just about the size. It's about the pace. After that absolutely wild, explosive surge we all saw during the pandemic, the market is maturing. We're shifting from those crazy double-digit spikes to a more predictable, steady kind of expansion. The growth is slowing down a bit, yeah, but the foundation underneath it all is stronger than ever.
So, in this multi-trillion-dollar economy, what are people actually putting in their digital carts? Well, the answer is starting to change in some really surprising ways. All right, so no big shock here. Fashion and electronics are still the top dogs, commanding almost half of the entire market. They're the established giants, right? But the real story, the one that kind of hints at where we're all headed, is happening a little further down this list. And here it is, the big move. Groceries. This category is set to grow by a massive 14.4%. And get this, for the first time ever, it's going to cross that 10% mark of the total market. This isn't just a small bump, it's a huge shift in how we all behave as consumers. I mean, just think about that. That routine, sometimes boring task of buying milk and bread and eggs, something we've almost always done in person, is becoming a digital habit for millions. This shows e-commerce is evolving, right? It's moving from a place for wants and special purchases to just being a utility for our everyday needs. Okay, so we know what's being bought, but where are these purchases actually happening? You might think you know, but the scale of the answer, well, it's pretty mind-blowing. Seriously, just take a second and think about your own shopping habits. The last, say, 3 things you bought online. Where did you click that final buy button? Was it on Nike's website, or was it on a platform like Amazon? The data points to a very clear trend. And yeah, the data is just overwhelming. By 2026, a staggering 87% of all e-commerce spending is going to happen on marketplaces. That's almost 9 out of every $10 flowing through giants like Amazon and Alibaba, not individual brand websites. Marketplaces are no longer just part of the ecosystem, they are the ecosystem. So, with that much at stake, you can bet the battle between these retail giants is getting intense. But the winners and losers in this new era, well, they're not who you might expect. And this is where the story gets really, really interesting. When you look at the top global players, it's not a simple story of growth across the board. Nope. What we're actually seeing is this fascinating mix of steady giants, titans feeling the pressure, and some explosive new disruptors who are completely rewriting the rules of the game. Okay, let's break this down. The clear outperformer, it's not even a contest. TikTok Shop with a forecasted growth of nearly 60%. I mean, wow, that is social commerce hitting the accelerator. Then, on the other end, you have an established giant like JD.com actually facing a slight decline. And then, there are the recent disruptors, Shein and Temu. After that period of insane hype, they're settling into a new reality of still strong but maybe more moderate growth. Now, this battle isn't happening the same way all over the world. Let's zoom out for a second and see where the e-commerce map is being redrawn the fastest. And yeah, when we look at the regional forecasts, there's a huge difference. While the global average growth is a pretty healthy 8.6%, some regions are lagging way behind, while one, in particular, is just absolutely rocketing ahead. And here's that stark contrast. The new engine of e-commerce growth is Latin America, projected to grow at 12.4%. Now compare that to the GSR region, that's Germany, Switzerland, and Austria, which is cooling to just 4.6%. You can literally see the industry's center of gravity shifting. All right, so let's put this all together. What are the big takeaways? First, the e-commerce boom has stabilized. It's now a mature, predictable market. Second, the next frontier isn't some flashy tech. It's our everyday essentials, with groceries leading the charge. Third, marketplaces are the undeniable kings, capturing nearly 90% of all sales. And finally, the disruptive energy and the biggest growth, it's coming from social platforms like TikTok and emerging markets, especially Latin America. This all leads to one final huge question. We've seen the store move from our towns to our computers, and now it's literally inside our social feeds. So as that line between content and commerce just completely dissolves, what do you think is the next big revolution in how and where we all shop?